So you pull out your phone, right? You open your bank app. Payday was literally just 3 days ago, but somehow there's almost nothing left. You're sitting there thinking, I didn't buy a car, I didn't go on some crazy vacation, I didn't even do anything out of the ordinary.
So where exactly did it all go? Well, here is the really uncomfortable truth. You can absolutely be earning $70,000, $90,000, or even $120,000 a year and still be quietly going broke. And no, I'm not talking about the sleeping in your car kind of broke. I mean the other kind.
The invisible kind of broke. This is where, you look totally fine on the outside. You've got the nice apartment, a decent car, maybe you even take a few holidays a year. But underneath all of that, you are literally one bad month away from absolute panic. And look, this isn't about being irresponsible. Most people who fall into this trap, they're smart, they're hardworking, they're super disciplined in pretty much every other part of their life. And honestly, that's exactly what makes it so dangerous. The warning signs don't look like warning signs at all. They just look like normal adult life.
So in this explainer, we're going to walk through 5 telltale signs that you might be going broke, even on a really good salary. Stagnant savings, using credit for survival, untracked spending, the emergency crisis, and the someday plan. Stick with me to the end because sign number 4 is the one that almost nobody talks about.
All right, sign number 1, your savings never actually grow.
Think about this for just a second. Let's say 3 years ago, maybe you were making around 50 grand. Today, you're bringing in 75,000. That is a massive 50% raise. So logically speaking, your savings should be way bigger now, right? But when you actually log in and check that number, it's basically the exact same as it was 3 years ago. Maybe a tiny bit more, maybe even a little less.
Well, this actually has a name. Economists call it lifestyle inflation. Basically, every single time your income goes up, your spending quietly creeps up right alongside it. It's the new apartment with that extra bedroom. It's the nicer car because, hey, you can afford it now. It's ordering more takeout because you're just too busy to cook. Better clothes, that fancy gym membership you barely even use. You see, none of these decisions feel reckless in the moment, do they? Each one is super small, each one is totally justifiable. But when you add them all up, here's what happens. Your income essentially turns into a treadmill. You're running faster and faster, earning more and more money, and staying in the exact same place. Because the real test here isn't how much money do I earn, it's what percentage of what I earn actually stays with me. If that percentage isn't going up along with your salary, you're not actually building wealth. You're really just funding a slightly more expensive version of paycheck-to-paycheck living. And honestly, this is where it gets scary, because most folks don't even notice this pattern until something forces them to look, like a job loss, a massive medical bill, or a broken car. That's when it hits them. Despite years of getting raises, they have almost nothing saved. And it's not because they're bad with money. It's just because nobody ever taught them to watch the percentage instead of the total number.
Moving on to sign number 2, you rely on credit to survive normal months.
Now, I want to be super clear about the difference here, because credit itself is not the enemy. Using a credit card for genuine emergency and then paying it right off, totally normal, perfectly fine. But what we're talking about here is totally different. It's when credit becomes this bridge that you literally rely on every single month just to make it to payday. It looks a bit like this: putting your groceries on the card because the checking account is already feeling way too tight. Splitting that new phone into 4 easy payments because paying the full price up front just feels impossible. Or when the overdraft on your bank account isn't some rare accident anymore, it's basically become part of your normal monthly routine. And here is why this is such a massive red flag. If you're needing borrowed money to cover ordinary, predictable expenses, not surprises, not emergencies, just normal everyday life, that means your actual income isn't covering your actual life. You are, in a very real sense, living beyond what you earn. Your good salary, it's just covering the minimum payments. It is not covering the truth.
And credit makes this trap especially dangerous because it completely hides the problem. Think about it. If you didn't have a credit card, running out of money would be incredibly obvious, right? You just wouldn't be able to buy things. But credit lets you keep on spending as if the money is actually there, even when it's totally not. The bill doesn't show up until weeks later, and by the time it finally arrives, you've probably forgotten half the stuff on it anyway. And guys, this is exactly how people with genuinely good, solid salaries end up with $8,000, $15,000, or sometimes literally $30,000 in credit card debt. And it doesn't come from one massive, irresponsible purchase. No, it comes from years of just using credit to quietly patch up that gap between what they earn and what they spend.
Okay, sign number 3. You have absolutely no idea where your money actually goes.
Let me ask you something. If someone asked you right now, exactly how much did you spend last month and on what? Could you answer them with any real confidence? This one might seem kind of small, but trust me, it's not. This is actually one of the most reliable predictors of long-term financial trouble. Why? Because you simply cannot fix what you cannot see. Most people earning a good salary just sort of assume they're doing fine financially simply because, well, the bills get paid and the lights stay on. But let's be real, the bills get paid is a dangerously low bar.
That low bar, it tells you absolutely nothing about whether you're dropping $200 a month on subscriptions you totally forgot you even signed up for. It doesn't tell you if food delivery is quietly costing you $400 a month instead of the $150 you kind of just imagine in your head. And it definitely doesn't tell you if treating yourself a couple times a week has mutated into a $600 monthly habit that you never even question. You see, money that isn't tracked doesn't just disappear evenly across your life. It leaks out through the exact same cracks over and over again, totally invisible. And because there's that nice, good salary coming in every single month, the leak never really gets big enough to trigger the alarm bells. It just quietly drains the tank. Think of it like this. Your household budget is basically like a company's financial statement. No serious business out there operates without knowing where its money goes. That would be wild, right? It'd be considered super reckless. But most of us run our entire financial lives exactly this way, and it feels completely normal. It's not that people are careless, it's just that nobody ever showed them a simple way to track things, so tracking feels tedious, it feels technical, and honestly, it's just easy to skip. But the fix here doesn't have to be complicated. It's not about building some crazy complex spreadsheet with a million categories. It's really just about knowing, in general terms, where the big chunks of your money are going each month. Because once you can see it clearly, those invisible leaks become super obvious. And obvious problems, they are way, way easier to fix than invisible ones.
All right, here is sign number 4. Every emergency feels like a total financial crisis.
This is the one I mentioned at the very beginning, the one almost nobody talks about, even though it might literally be the most important one on this list. Here it is. When something unexpected happens, say the car needs a repair, or a friend's wedding pops up out of nowhere, or you get a surprise dentist bill. It doesn't just feel like a minor inconvenience. It feels like a full-blown panic-inducing crisis. Your stomach drops, you immediately start doing that mental math, trying to figure out which bill you can delay just to make it work. On paper, this probably seems pretty strange, right? I mean, you have a good salary. Why on earth would a $600 repair bill feel like the end of the world? Well, the answer is that a good salary and actual financial security are two completely different things. Financial security comes from having a buffer. It's money set aside specifically to absorb those unexpected things without totally disrupting the rest of your life. If you don't have that buffer, then every single surprise expense doesn't just get absorbed. It gets stacked directly on top of your regular bills, and they're all competing for that exact same paycheck. Let's look at two people who both earn $80,000 a year. Earner A has $10,000 sitting in a totally separate savings account that they never touch, except for genuine emergencies. Earner B has that same $80,000 flowing straight into their checking account and then flowing straight back out again every single month with zero held in reserve. Now, on a normal month, these two people look completely identical. They have the same income, the same lifestyle, probably the same type of car in the driveway. But the very second something unexpected happens, the difference becomes incredibly obvious. Earner A handles the bill and just moves on with their week. Earner B, they completely spiral. They're stressed out, they're borrowing money, they're frantically rearranging bills, and they might even have to miss a payment somewhere else just to cover this one thing. And it's not because they earn less money, it's because they built absolutely no cushion underneath the income they do earn. This is exactly why financial stress and income levels don't correlate nearly as closely as most people assume. It is entirely possible to earn six figures and still wake up every day feeling this constant, low-grade financial anxiety. Why? Because underneath that great salary, there's no solid foundation. You're just walking on a tightrope.
And finally, we have sign number 5. Someday is your entire financial plan.
This is the quiet one, the one that almost never gets said out loud. When it comes to actually building your wealth, your entire overarching strategy is basically just, I'll start when I earn more. You tell yourself, I'll start investing once I finally get that promotion. Or I'll build up my emergency fund just as soon as things calm down a bit. Or maybe I'll figure out my retirement stuff once I'm feeling a little more settled. It always sounds so incredibly reasonable in the moment, doesn't it? But the problem is that someday has this funny way of never actually arriving. Why? Because your financial goalposts just keep moving right along with your income.
Here is what usually happens instead. The promotion actually comes. The big raise arrives. But instead of taking that extra money and putting it toward your savings or investments, it just quietly gets absorbed into a slightly upgraded lifestyle. Which, if you remember, brings us right back to sign number 1. The treadmill just speeds up all over again. Guys, this is the sign that really ties everything else together. A person can go for years, sometimes literally an entire decade, technically earning a good salary, while never actually building any real lasting wealth.
And it's not because they're incapable of doing it. It's simply because they were always planning to start later, and later just kept getting pushed further and further away. The people who actually build real financial security, they rarely do it by waiting for some perfect, magical future moment when everything finally feels comfortable. They do it by starting with whatever they have right now, even if it's a super small, unglamorous amount, and they build the core habit before the money gets bigger. Because, let's be real, if you can't manage the discipline on a smaller income, a bigger income is definitely not going to fix that. It's just going to give those exact same habits a lot more room to spend.
All right, let's bring it all together for the wrap-up, fixing these 5 quiet patterns. So, as you can see, going broke on a good salary rarely looks super dramatic. It's almost never just one huge catastrophic mistake. Instead, it's these 5 quiet patterns just stacking up on top of each other. Savings that just never seem to grow, using credit to cover ordinary everyday life, spending money that you can't actually track, having absolutely no cushion for the unexpected, and relying on a plan that always starts someday. Now, individually, each one of these seems pretty harmless, but together, they explain exactly why so many people with genuinely solid incomes still wake up feeling like they are barely keeping their heads above water. But hey, here is the really good news. Every single one of these signs is completely fixable. And the best part? None of them require you to magically earn more money. All they require is for you to clearly see what is already happening right now. And honestly, that is exactly what this kind of awareness gives you.
So look, if you recognized yourself in even 1 or 2 of these signs today, please know that is not a failure. That is actually the essential first step. Because at the end of the day, you can't fix a pattern that you never even noticed. If this explainer helps you see something clearly, be sure to hit that subscribe button. I break down money, income, and financial psychology just like this every single week. No confusing jargon, absolutely no fluff. And before you go, let me know down in the comments, which of these 5 signs hit closest to home for you? I literally read every single one. Thanks for hanging out.